So this was going to be my last video on YouTube, but I've decided to keep the channel up. I'm not going to do any more political stuff on this. I'm shadow banned. Uh, I've lost half my subscribers overnight, and I'm sick of YouTube. But I decided I'm going to keep this channel open. I'm not going to post a whole lot regularly, but I am going to post on some survival and PSA stuff and that type of thing, which leads me to this. Back in the late 60s, early 70s, I don't remember where, at an Air Force base in North Dakota, the Air Force decided to do a test. What would happen if a nuclear war went off and you had an high altitude explosion and it would knock power out? And they planned on doing it for a week, if I remember correctly. And I mean, everybody was involved, families, base housing. Nobody was exempt on the base. And what they found out is they had generators and they were able to keep their mission critical stuff up. But things like their sewage lift stations, water pumps, commissary, stuff like that weren't able to survive more than a couple of days. Sewage backed up in the base housing. Water was cut off. They eventually had to lend the commissary a generator to make sure that they didn't lose all their frozen foods. And they had to open up the commissary to the people and basically give them food without ringing it up, just give them food because people ran out of food. Now, I don't know whether to believe this guy or not, so take all this with a grain of salt. I'm one of them guys that it's better to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. It's just who I am. Part of it's my military training. I'm always trying to plan ahead and that type of thing. And Lin Wood has come out and said, plan on a power outage, a nationwide power outage, and make sure you got enough food for 10 to 12 days. I really took that just with, I paid it no attention when he come out with it. But now the Vatican's lost power and Pakistan's had a total country blackout. I don't know. I don't think it gives his comment any more credence. But I'm going to make sure that we're good to go. Well, I know we're good to go, but I went through today and went through the cupboards, and I think the last time we made a big shopping trip was right before Thanksgiving. And I mean, God, you ought to have seen a ticker. The thing, it was like this long. You can't even see it, but here's my other hand. The receipt was that long. And the commissary is pretty cheap compared to going down to Smith's or Kroger's or somebody like that. And we're in line, and I'm like, man, this is going to cost a fortune. We had 2 buggies. And mind you, we already had a pretty stocked cabinet and freezer and everything else. My wife looked at it and says, nah, $450, $500. Come to $449. But then she told me, said that would have been $800 at Smith's. and probably about $700 at Costco. So, again, we just bought stuff that we eat regularly that will keep, and bought, our son some things. For some reason, they can't get the dried 15 bean soup, I guess soup or whatever, the bags that keep forever. So we always pick them up a couple bags of it. But this is what I'm doing. And I have no idea if what he says is true. But I'm not going to jeopardize my family without being prepared. So things like milk, we bought some extra milk today. We've got some canned milk. Eggs we don't have to worry about. My son's chickens are laying 4 to 7 eggs a day. So, last week I made 2 quiches and froze one. The freezer's not as full as it was, but it's still pretty full. I don't know. We probably got 70, 80 meals just in the freezer alone. And that's probably an underestimation. Because when we came back from the commissary, I had to take virtually, like all the ice bags and everything out. I couldn't put them in. We've got a stand-up freezer, and then we've got a bottom-top freezer in the garage, and then we've got a side-by-side in the house. All of them were full. I mean, just absolutely full to the max. And like today, I'm smoking some ribs. I did something a little different today. We walked into Lowe's yesterday, and they had these pellets. You using a trigger, and they had a bag that was on sale for $5 because it had a little hole in it, and they're regular $20. And I said, I'm going to get that because if I don't use it, I got a friend that's got a Traeger. And I decided to try and smoke these ribs on the gas grill today. And so far, man, it's working out fantastically. I'm really impressed with them pellets like that. The smoke's fantastic, and the ribs are cooking along. They've been on 300 degrees for a little bit over 3 hours and 45 minutes. And when we went to the commissary, all they had was the full racks. Didn't have the normal, what we get, the St. Louis style. And I was going to cut them down to St. Louis style, and I said, screw it, I'll just do the full rack. So I figured it was going to take about 5 hours for them. Took an inventory of all my propane. I need to go fill up 1 bottle tomorrow, and I will. But, we've got plenty of canned goods. We've got plenty of things like Bisquick. We've got flour, sugar, oats, beans. We just got plenty of food. And then it's cold enough, sure enough, next week it's going to warm up a little bit, and the lows are going to be in the low 30s. But if power does go out, we can put a lot of that stuff in coolers and put it out on the north side of the home. Then I'll get into the motorhome and turn that freezer fridge on and put it on propane. That tank's full. So, I don't know, we probably got 3 or 4 months that tank. We got bread, and we got ways to make bread. We got plenty of yeast. So be prepared. I don't know if Lin Wood is just falling off the deep end or what. But, you know, we've got this affidavit coming out of Italy now. Again, I used to trust him immensely, but General McInerney's come out and said that there were special forces in with the Antifa that broke into the Capitol building, and they're the ones that stole the computer. Again, take everything with a grain of salt. But at least go through your cupboards, and if you're short of anything, run down to the store and get some of it. If you're short on canned vegetables or whatever it may be, you know, for us it's a bad time because we're going into spring, and like in the old days, it used to be spring was a starving time. That's what they called it, because their stores would start running out from the fall and winter, and they hadn't been in northern climates anyway. They hadn't been able to plant anything yet, except maybe garlic, which we have plenty of that in the ground. So just prepare, get your family ready, make sure you keep your gas tanks topped off as much as you can, at least for the next couple weeks. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt at all. So, you all have a good day. Thank you very much.